Hi, I'm Kara Pogreba. Welcome to Bright Hope Creations. Today I'm excited to show a new product from Purple Onion Designs. So when I use my stamps, I put them on cling foam and on these sheets so that they stand up in my storage area, kind of like my storage pouches for my clear stamps. But my larger ones I put in a 5x7 photo box, and it stands up nice too. But now I'd like to put them all in these photo boxes and organize them that way, because Purple Onion Designs came out with this great new solution for mounting rubber stamps, and it's cost effective and easy to use. So this is the 4x6 and the other one is a 6x6. Now this 6x6 has a black backing on them, but they don't come that way. They come with clear backings. And so I'm going to use this 4x6 today to show you how I can use it in the MISTI. You can also cut them up to use whatever size you want on a stamp block. But I just put it in my MISTI like I would any other stamp. But I take out this foam pad that's on the bottom of the MISTI because it's the same thickness as the stamp, so I don't need that. And I just put my paper in there, and whatever stamp I want to stamp, just like you would with a clear stamp, but you put it, close the door and ink it up, and it does not move at all. And then you can just stamp it down, and there it is. It's great. It stamps very well. I can wipe it off. It doesn't move around. And they also just come right off, peel right off, just like any other stamp would on your MISTI. So I can build a scene this way, putting this little squirrel under the bunting, and there he is. It's fantastic. I love it. Now, if I have a big background stamp, one way that you can put that on is just put that down and then put the clear stamp over it, and it all gets picked up. And you can see I can flap it back and forth. It's not going to move anywhere. Inks up, and it stamps beautifully. Rubber stamps stamp beautifully. So, there's never any real issue there. I love this method for mounting the rubber stamps because I would have to get that cling foam and put it on each of my stamps when I got them, and it's a sticky mess and it's expensive, and really I think this is so nice. And so you can clean it up just like any stamp as well. Now here I have several stamps. I just picked them up, and I'm just showing you that you can stamp up a bunch of stamps if you'd like, and do them all at once if you're going to cut them out, or however you want to use it. Now also I think I would want to get this a little darker, so I'm going again, and you'll see that it doesn't move at all. It's a perfect stamping, just like any other thing that is held by the MISTI. It comes off real easily off the MISTI or any stamp block, and I just stick it on my storage box, a 1-inch 5x7 photo box, and it works great. And it's with my other stamps, and it's ready to go. I was going to make a card using the squirrel and bunting, but I messed up on my squirrel, so I'm going to redo it. But this gives me the opportunity to show you how I position a stamp. So I take this acetate and I put it in the very corner of the MISTI. Doesn't matter where my paper is, just that the acetate's in the corner. I stamp it up on the acetate, and I can see where it is, and then I can take the whole thing out and adjust it so that the bunting and the squirrel are lined up right. And then where that corner is of the acetate, that's the way I need it to sit in the MISTI. So right where that corner is. My paper is very cockeyed, but that's all right. So I take out that acetate, I make sure that my paper is down where it needs to be, and stamp that up, and it works perfect. So that's how I align stamps it's a real simple way just to make sure the acetate's in the corner. All right, so we're gonna start on this card. I'm just gonna color things up with Copic markers, and I'm finding my shadows on this squirrel with an E31. So above the ridge of his nose, and then where his tail is behind his body, both at the top and on the sides, and around his ear, and then kind of fan that out a little bit. And then the sun or the light source is on the upper right, so that's how I'm determining my shadows. That's where my light source usually is, upper right. So I like where I have those shadows. I come in with the next darkest, which is an E33, and I decided I could go darker, so I went in then with an E35, and it's just going right over where I decided I wanted those shadows. And now with the E33, I am blending out into the body, and where shadows are close to each other, I will connect them. I don't get too dark with this squirrel. It's he probably gets about to the E35, and then I'll go just a little darker with his shadows. But here you can see I'm blending the two where the shadows are together, and now with the E31 coming further out into the body, and then getting his little arms and up in the tail as well, and using flicking motions to get that tail just to look like a bushy, hairy squirrel tail. He's a cute little squirrel. I would say probably the cutest because he's not out trying to eat out of my bird feeder. And we have, I think there's like 4 squirrels that come around. One day they came like in a line, like they were lining up for their meal. So, the joys of a bird feeder. Well, one of them, boy, he's got like, I think he's been through the war. He looks terrible, but he still comes around. He seems like he's doing okay. All right, well, back to this guy. So E44 is what I use to get those darker shadows in there. And I'm just kind of putting in small amounts, little lines, little dots here and there, just to get those real deep shadows. And I want some deeper ones because you want to see some variation between his arms and his body, which is in back of those arms. And then just give him some shape to his face, and then some real depth behind his body on the tail. And then once I have all these shadows right where I want them, I will blend that out again. But I don't blend as much this time. So here's the E35, and I'm just blending away from the E44. One thing I like about that E44 is it's a grayer brown, so it's nice for shadows. I think I might start using it more for brown animal or brown shadows because it kind of has a grayness to it. All right, blending that even further out now with the E33. And then this might be it. We might be moving on here. Oh, I got to fuss though. No, here's the E31. Just blending that out more. All right, now he has R02 for cheeks and in the ears. And I'll come back with this E30 just to blend that on the lightest side of his cheek so that it kind of blends in. It's not a blob on top of his cheek. And I'm going to do the bunting poles in a different E color just to try to be a little different than my squirrel, although E20s and E30s, although they're different, but it's not like a drastic difference. So this is the E25, and that's what I'm using to darken up my shadows and also give it some definition to the wood grain on the pole. And then once I've got that wood grain in there, I'll come in with my lightest, the E21, and blend it in so that it kind of looks like it's part of the pole. And now it's the color time, the fun colors. And this is a BG11. I'm just coloring in the stripes. And here's the BG23. This is one of my new favorite blends. It is right between the BG11 and 13, so that's one of my go-tos now. I have an R24, and I'm going to color the entire polka dot flag, except for the polka dots, and then come in with my darkest, which is an R29, right on the edge, and blend that out a little bit with the R27. That's really all I'm doing to blend that. All right, I decided because that red was darker, I wanted to darken up the aqua ones as well. And then I come in with the C2, and this is just giving the shadow. All right, we're going to ink blend this background. So I'm going to put a mask on everything, just stamp that on some sticky note paper and cut it out. And then I'm making a hill out of some typing paper or printer paper. And with my blending brush, I'm going in with the Distress Twisted Citron for the hill after I taped that all down. And then this is Mowed Lawn, and I'm just going to work on getting those two to blend together nicely. And a little more Mowed Lawn just to finish up that blend. And then we'll have our grass. There we go. And then I'll take the opposite piece and tape that, and then I'm going to use this cloud stencil. This is the large cloud stencil from My Favorite Things, and I'm using Salty Ocean and another blending brush to make those clouds. So this is going to be a cloudy but a pretty day for our squirrel. So I'm starting off light here, and when I find I'm done with the one, I will rotate it and blend in the next row of clouds. And you can see I'm tapping my ink off on the side before I blend into it. And as I go higher and higher, it gets a little darker, but I wasn't sure how high I wanted to go, so I just went all the way up. So now it's time to take off the masks. So I can take that all off. And I have a little bit that still needs to be colored on those leaves. I'm not really going to show you much of that just because there's not much to see there. And then I'm starting on some grass, and this is a YG13. And I'm also putting some shadow underneath the squirrel. It's really a base shadow. I'm going to come in with some cool gray later to give it more of a shadow look. But that YG13 is a little too close to my ink blended background, so I'm coming in with a G05, and that will kind of give me a better look, or it's just more prominent. And then I wasn't sure where or how much grass I wanted to do, but just a few tufts there. And then with the YG13, I can come in and blend those in a little bit. And now I'm going right over the Distress ink. This is not an oxide, it's just the regular Distress. So it seems to work just fine for me. It doesn't seem to ruin my markers, and I don't feel like it reacts with the ink so that it would, Distress ink, it reacts with water, but it really doesn't seem to have a problem with these alcohol markers. So here's where I came in with the cool gray to make those shadows a little bit more, and then add some depth to that grass. And then I cut it out with a stitched rectangle, and I stamped this little sentiment and cut that out as well. I stamped that in candied apple, and then I decided I wanted to redden up a little bit of the elements, the leaves and the acorn. So I came in with the R24 and some with the R27, and then blended that in with an E13. The teens are kind of a reddish brown, so they worked well together. And then I'm just gonna adhere that onto a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 note card, and our card is done. I hope you enjoyed this video and learning about the new product from Purple Onion Designs to help you with your unmounted rubber stamps. It is so easy and I love it, and I hope you do too. Thanks for watching. Bye.